What's up, everybody? I just experienced a situation that I kind of want to share with everyone. And I know the audio quality and the lighting is going to be terrible on this, but I don't want to forget this thought. So when we're traveling and going through life and going through all these different experiences and going to restaurants and just different places, we interact with other people. Well, sometimes we have moments where the people we're around are dark. They're very dark. They're very evil. I want to go over a couple of the ways that you can determine whether somebody's evil or not. If there's somebody next to you and if they're involved in the occult, if they're doing these dark practices. Because I just had a situation at a restaurant where I was sitting next to somebody that was making me feel gross, made me feel disgusting and absolutely drained. There was definitely something up about this person, and I could tell there was a heavy darkness on this individual, and I didn't want it to jump onto me. That could have been really bad. First of all, I believe all of us can kind of sense it. Whenever you're around somebody that's dark and evil and just very, very bad human, you can tell. You get this kind of sense inside of you. Your skin starts to crawl. You get this notice that this individual may be bad or be involved with pretty bad things that you don't want to be around. And I do believe that is a gift from above. I believe it's a gift from Allah that we all have this, where we can sense the evil in other people so we can avoid that individual. But there's a couple things that these people do that allow you to really determine, to know for sure that they're not a good person. Now, I'm going to go over the lightest ones first and the strictest ones later. So the easy ones to justify and then the ones that is very difficult to justify. First things first, evil doesn't sleep. These people will have terrible insomnia. Now, I'm not saying that everybody with insomnia is evil. That's not true. You know, I used to have really bad insomnia, and that's why I got to this point. When I was involved in the occult and I was doing all these things, I couldn't sleep. My mind never turned off. I was never at peace. At any point in time, I could not rest. I couldn't stop my mind from thinking. I was overwhelmed 24/7 and just straight exhausted. When you have a connection to God and you have faith in God, you are at peace. You become relaxed. You become peaceful. You are able to sleep at night. And these individuals that are dark and have dark things attached to them, they don't sleep. They don't rest. Evil never sleeps. Which goes on to my second point. You can see it in their eyes. You can see the darkness around their eyes. And I don't mean like just a little bit of dark circles, but you can see it. Their pupils will be very large. Their eyes will constantly be bloodshot. They will just look sick. They will look very ill. You guys can go back to my old videos on TikTok and see the difference in my face. That's one of the biggest comments I got. Even from people in the practice had came to me and been like, hey man, your face is lighting up since you reverted and you're not involved with all this dark stuff. You're looking a lot healthier. Now initially I rejected it. I was like, I'm just eating better, whatever. And the halal food is a big part of that, you know, which makes your health a lot better. Which comes to my next point. Their eating habits is a big tell. People are eating dark stuff, and dark stuff is in them. That energy is trapped in that food. So eating things like pork especially, that should never happen. But these evil people are going to be craving nasty food. They want that dark energy. They want that sickness inside of them so they can feel connected, they can feel whole. So whenever you're eating non-halal meat, whether it's chicken or beef, there is a bit of negative energy trapped in that meat. And we can prove this with science based on cortisol levels, the stress hormone, which makes the meat not as enjoyable. So in return, what they do is they pump it full of nitrates and preservatives because the meat's essentially spoiled right from the start, so they have to do nasty things to the food to make it edible for humans. Well, that holds energy. We all know eating halal beef is way better. If you've tasted the difference, you know the difference. It's not even comparable between the two. And the individuals that are dark and evil and very, very bad individuals, they crave the bad stuff. They want the stuff with fear and negative energy attached into the meat. They want to eat the animals who are mistreated. And then eventually it gets to the point where they start mistreating animals. They lose a connection for other human beings when this goes to an extreme level. They lose their connection to other living beings if this goes to an extreme level, including animals and their own pets. Now, the next big one that I notice is actually going to be their hands. You can see an individual's hands and they will be flushed. They will be colorless. They will look sickly. So not only in their face, you need to look at their hands, their fingers, and how they spread them. Dark, evil people do evil things with their hands. And I know this one I might lose a couple people with, but that energy sticks. We touch all these things all the time, and that transfers into our skin. The thing we touch things the most with is our hands. Now, when people are practicing rituals, of course, you're using all the ritual objects with your hands, and this starts to make them deteriorate. Your nails start getting super gross and miscolored. The color within your hand is going to be wrong and very flush. And this is something that I didn't even notice. Somebody else pointed this out to me when I was involved in the situation. Now, the next one is going to be their hair. And I know a lot of these are appearance-based and based around illness, but I have a point to that. Just stick with me. Their hair is going to be brittle. Their hair is going to break and fall apart and not be able to grow, and it's going to be extremely thin. This also goes back to being negative, doing these negative acts with this negative energy. And at worst, doing invocation rituals to have the shaitan attached to them. Their life is going to be drained. Demons don't want your soul. You can't sell your soul. That's not a real thing. And I've been saying this for years. They don't want your soul, they want your life. They want to attach to you and they want to live through you. They want to experience the things that they can't. Now the next part is going to be their breath. They will have horrid, disgusting breath. It will almost be like puke or throw up, or the smell of rotten eggs or sulfur. Now this one's pretty common, and I'm sure anybody who's been around the shaitan or anything demonic or the jinn will agree with this. They have a smell of like cat urine, which there's nothing wrong with cats, but they have the smell of like cat urine, sulfur, rotten egg smell. And this will translate directly onto the individual's breath as well. And then the big one is going to be their health. Many people already know this, but the jinn are responsible for a lot of health issues. And not just physical health, but mental health as well. These people will be constantly sick, constantly in the hospital. And yes, I know there is sick people in the world. There's people who are just genuinely sick, who just have an illness. People are involved in the occult. They are constantly in the hospital. They become brittle and drained and just constantly malnourished. All these things start to add up. And then eventually it either leads to them losing their life or spiritual psychosis where they just go mentally insane. The jinn have to take everything from you and make you as weak as possible so they can control you as much as possible. And I actually just remembered one more. They will make you forget to pray. And I know this may seem a little weird, but when you're around these individuals and you do have a positive moment, you will forget to pray to Allah. And as Muslims, I'm sure we all experience this. When we have something positive happen in life, we have something good that happens to us, or we're having a very good moment, our first thought is we say kind of like a mini prayer to Allah. We thank Allah for that moment, for that food, for that experience with those people. When you're around these dark, evil people, that goes away. You're not going to want to thank Allah for anything. You're going to miss your prayers. You're not going to be thankful for what Allah has given you. All right, I appreciate every single one of you. I just wanted to get this out before I forget, because I just had a moment and was around somebody that was extremely dark, and I wanted to let everybody know so they can avoid being around such individuals.